Hey, welcome. It's Captain Matt, Boater Secret Weapon. I want to thank you for joining us for this Sunday night live. We're getting ready to start here in just a couple of minutes here. We'll start about 8:30, but I wanted to welcome you. If you've never been to a live, here's what you can expect. Just go ahead and chat in your comment section, on whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube. Just ask your question, leave your comment there, and then as we go through the time, I just kind of scroll down all the comments and I try to answer them. Now, if it's something that I need to ask you a question, I may ask you a question and just put it in the chat again, and I'll come back and I'll get that information so I can give you a more personalized response, something that's going to really add value for you. This is just something I do. One, it's great fun. I really enjoy it. It's helpful for the community. Just sharing my knowledge. Now, one thing that you need to know, I don't know everything about boats. I know a lot about boats. I've been a boater since I was 5. I've sold boats. It's something that is a big part of my life. With that said, I don't know everything. Matter of fact, sailboats, have zero experience with sailboats. Bass boats, very little experience there. Bow riders, deck boats, center consoles, jet boats, twin engines, stern drives, outboards, inboards, all of that I have experience with. And if I have an answer, I'll give you my best answer. If I don't have an answer, I'll try to give you a resource that will be valuable for you. If I have an opinion, I'll try to give you that opinion, but let you know this is what I think, not what I absolutely know. So I look forward to it. Here's a little video intro that a subscriber made for me. Thanks, Bo. And we'll see you on the live when it kicks off here in just a moment. Welcome, everybody. Captain Matt, Boaters Secret Weapon, here with the Sunday Night Live. Looks like we got a good crew on board. Got some fun things to share with you. Got a bunch of regulars in the house. Ray, welcome. Bo, welcome. Kings of the City, welcome. Mike, got your email. That's one of the things that I will be showing. Rob, welcome. Good to have you. 211. Jason, good to have you. Hopefully Michaela's with you. BC, good to have you. Larry, hello from Florida. That's a new name. Why do I recognize that name from somewhere, though? Maybe you were in the comments recently. Brock, good to have you. Sustainability, good to have you. Welcome, everybody. And as Ray says, hit that like button, or else. Ray is putting the hammer down. I appreciate it. John, Northern Illinois Boat Show is this weekend. We emailed recently. Okay, I knew that I get names that stick in my head, and you're just like, all right, I know something about this guy. Good. Welcome, John. The Northern Illinois Boat Show this weekend. Hopefully it was good. Give us an update if there's any insights that you got. So I mentioned, got a couple fun things to share. What was I doing today? I was creating this video here. The difference between driving boats and driving cars. I think I would love any comments from you guys. It's coming out tomorrow. And anything that I missed, I think it'll be a fun little thing. But this is more fun. So I got an email from, who did I get an email from? Rod, good to have you. Mike, I think, is who I got the email from. And Mike had his sea trial on his 239, I think is what it was. Let's see here. 239 Ultra, that's right. And this was him in Maryland. in some chop. Sounds great. Cold, looks cold, but it's out on the water. And he also sent a few pictures that let's see if I can do this. Also sent a few pictures. Has some little minor things for the dealer to take care of. But overall, boat looks great. I really like that. I'm not sure if they call it a seafoam green, but it looks like maybe a green or a light blue. Maybe it's a little more blue than green, but good looking boat. Sounded great. Sounded like the sea trial went well. A couple little things should be addressed, but nothing that is too serious. And there it is. That's getting after it, getting bundled up to do sea trials. I've done them in snow. I've done them in rain. I've done them in all types of weather, and it's getting out of the water is always good. Let's see here. How was the show? Let's see here. Northern Illinois Boat Show. February to March 3rd. We are March now. See how big of a show this is. Aero Marine. See if I know any of the. Grays Lake, Illinois. I'm not exactly sure where that is, but there we go. Boat dealers. That's what I was trying to get. 60 brands. That's good. Munson's is a good dealer. I know Skipper Bud's a pretty big dealer. Boathouse. A couple dealers I'm familiar with. Don't know anybody there specifically, but nice. Yeah, let us know how the show was. If you saw anything on pricing, anything that was of interest. Always like to hear that. Mike, thank you for sharing the pictures and the video. I might just feature that in the newsletter here coming up. Have a course on driving cars. I do not. I do not have a course on driving cars, Ray. Ice blue. Okay, ice blue. I like it. Yeah, I like that. I like that color. Best affordable center console you could recommend. So it depends. One, what you mean by center console. So, Deja, give me a little bit of insight into the size. Are you going offshore? Are you looking true center console offshore? Are you looking something that's a bay to get up in the skinnier water? That's a center console. Are you looking for a freshwater center console boat that you want to run? Do some water sports, some cruising. Let me know a little bit more detail and the size, what you'll be doing on it, and I'll give you some thoughts to consider. Smaller than Chicago, but the was great. That's good. That's good. Julie, welcome. Good to have you. Went to the Tampa show yesterday. See the Key West 17 and 19, Tidewater 1910. Looks like a great fishing boat. 2 jump seats. Um, when I did my best and worst on center consoles, best and worst console. This was 3 years ago, so this was in the heart of the pandemic. It was uh, 2 years ago, but it's going to flip over to 3 here shortly. I think I probably released it in April or maybe May. I don't remember, but so it's 2020. It's 2021. So I was expecting 2020, 2021 boats. Okay. I put Tidewater in the value category because I was super, super disappointed with the fit and finish on that boat. And it was multiple boats. It wasn't just one. I always make it a point because I know that I've talked about it. Very handmade. Somebody can have a bad day. They can be hungover. They can have bad QC during the pandemic. There could have been people sick and out. So I always look at multiple boats, and you'll see it in the video. I point out things that are just blemishes in the gel coat, uh, seat cushions that were just off kilter, just little ticky tacky stupid stuff. So I put them in the value category with the caveat of I don't think they're a value boat. Now, I have re-inspected them. Last year, I re-inspected down in Charleston, and I was in where else did I go last year? Columbia. I didn't update the video, but I need to, and I putting them back in the mid-tier category where I think they belong with Key West, with Sea Pro, with all of their sportsmen, all of the others that are in that category, of mid-tier, we'll call it. I'd put Tidewater in that category now. But yeah, I was really disappointed if you watch that video. I think they certainly have improved. I think they're in line with Key West for sure. What else did you look at? And here's the thing. So like, there's a lot of, I'll say, I want to say incest, but that's not really right. But so like the interconnections between different brands. So what was it? C Pro, no, C Fox is in the lineage of Sportsman, Tidewater. I think Key West is in there as well. So there's a father son duo. There's a Martin. I want to say it's Chris. There's a Martin that's in at Key West. Or no, there's a Martin that's at Tidewater, and there's a Martin that was the owner of Sportsman, and they were sold out of. I want to say it was C Fox, C Fox or C Pro, but I think it was C Fox. They sold out, let the non compete go, and then partnered up again, started Sportsman. One of the sons started Tidewater within that time period. So there's a lot of interconnection in the Carolina center console boat building world. It certainly crossover in employees. There, several of them are made Columbia, Charleston area, and Scout, Sportsman, Sea Pro, Key West, Tidewater are all made in those areas. They run totally separate companies, but they're having Thanksgiving together, and there's a lot of crossover. So, and look for an updated best and worst on the center consoles. I need to get that updated now that we're past the pandemic and we're I think in a more normalized environment. Okay, so saltwater 15 to 17. Deja, what are you going to be doing on the boat? Because it matters. Like there's too many unknowns. I mean, so if you're just looking for, hey, I want to get out of the water, um, you could go as inexpensive as a Mako. Go to Bass Pro Shop, find yourself a Mako, or go even better is go to a tracker dealer that has something like that. That is a skiff, a 15 foot skiff, something like that. I would definitely look at Carolina skiff. Would be in that category if you want something a little bit more V haul. You could look at the Trophy. Probably going to have depending on your area, but likely going to have a better dealer option. Looking with the Trophy because they are. I don't want Bayliner. Yeah, so you have to go 18 with trophy. I thought they made a 16, but maybe that's Tahoe or something. But the dealers are independent. If you're a first time boater buying from Bass Pro Shop, it's like here's the keys, go have fun. And I think a little bit more support is valuable. Definitely get my boater boot camp, the best boat captain program. If you're trailer and trailer like a pro, if you've never trailered a boat before, get all those. But I would say those would be options, and then the Carolina skiff. If that skiff style, if you want to be in the shallows, and you're not going to be out in really rough chop, you're on. I don't know enough about the skiffs to know the models. Let's say. So something like that. If you're out on really rough water, it's gonna beat you up because it's a pretty flat bottom. So is the Mako. The trophy's got a little bit more dead rise, but it's still that's 18. So don't know what your budget is either. But those would be some of the brands I would start looking at. I would also watch this video here, best and worst center console, and I would watch. Uh, Console. I would also watch how to buy a used center console. I would watch that. And I would watch. Oh crap! I don't have it. I need to make a specific video that talks about skiffs, bay boats, center consoles offshore. I think it's in. I know I've talked about that. It's in one of these videos, maybe this one. But I need to. I need to. Oh, there we go. Compare center consoles for sale. This video just to get an idea of the different types of center consoles. Because then you throw a Yamaha jet boat in there. It's a center console. There's a pontoon who just released a center console pontoon as well. So center consoles are just where the helm is, and then the style of boat can be slightly different as well. So hopefully, Deja, that helped you. 1990 Chaparral versus 1990 Sea Ray. Julie, it is totally 100% dependent on the actual boat. I mean, you're talking about a boat that is 30 plus years old. When you're comparing them, they're close enough when they were new. I would probably put the 90 Sea Ray a little bit better than the 90 Chaparral. But at this point, 30 years later, it is all about, is the floor solid because it's wood? Is the transom solid because there's wood in there? Is the engine running well? Because 30 years of neglected maintenance can cause huge problems. Does it have an alpha drive or does it have an OMC stringer? If it does, walk away. I don't care what brand the boat is. What's the condition of the mechanical stuff and the structure? That's what you need to be focused on. And Julie, you need to watch this video. You need to watch this video. How to buy old boats to run away from. You need to watch that one. And then you need to watch I thought I had one. How to buy older. I've got one called, it's like how to buy an older boat. And it goes through, there we go. No, that's not the right one. Oh, there we go. Tips for buying an older boat. Watch that video as well. There's so many pitfalls. There's so many pitfalls when you're buying an older boat that it can be a great way to get on the water for a low investment. It can also be a huge pain in the ass, headache, money pit, disaster. Um, so you're going to have to look through a lot of turds to find a boat that you're like, this is the one. Because there's after 30 plus years of sometimes neglect, sometimes lack of use, poor maintenance, damage, there's going to be a whole bunch of them that are still out there on the market. People that are going to give it to you. People are going to be like, $1,000, take it. Buy the trailer for 500. The boat's free. They're going to be all of those types of things that are going to be a disaster. But there are some 90 vintage Chaparrals, Sea Rays, Cobalts, Regals that are going to be great options for you. But there's the number of them is smaller and smaller every year that goes by. And so you really have to make sure you're sorting out the ones that are going to be disasters. Okay. So I wouldn't limit myself on, a brand. And if you're looking that age, I would open it up to all of the premium level brands, Sea Ray, Chaparral, Regal, Cobalt, in that vintage. You could throw in probably Crown Line. You could probably throw in Maxim, although they're not made anymore. They're similar. They're a mid-tier level. They're in between Bayliner and Sea Ray, and that's going to open up your ability to find a good one. Because I'd rather have a mid-tier boat that's in great condition, well taken care of, than a premium boat that has not been taken care of, that has a OMC drive, or that has a rotten floor, or soft transom. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense for you. Let's see here. Yeah, you'll be Larry. Watch all the videos. That will lead you, and then not. This is my approach with this channel, is not to tell you, because there's no this is the right boat to buy, but tell you what to look for. Because in addition to brand, Tidewater, Key West, they're in my mind equal. I put Key West slightly above, Tidewater slightly down, but the dealer that you end up working with can make a decision flip flop in a heartbeat. So the wrong dealer can be a disaster. Matter of fact, I got this email. No, it was a comment on the channel today. Let me see if I can find it. This was, let's see here. This was the other thing I was going to show you. I should have had it pulled up, but I didn't. So, this is from a guy that had a terrible experience with the Forest River product of Berkshire. Remember, Berkshire, South Bay, Trifecta, exact same boats. They all use this composite decking with, just like Veranda. This is what they're selling. They're selling, we don't have wood in our boat. This is a better solution. You don't have to worry about it. Well, this has only been in use for about 5 years. Veranda's aluminum flooring has been in use for 30. So I'm much more sold on that than this. Although 5 years, we'd start seeing failures if it was going to have failures. But oftentimes when brands have call it a gimmick, but when they do something like this, sometimes they forget to keep the quality up in other areas of the boat, and that's all they sell. People get stuck. I don't have wood in my boat. That's good. I know rot bad, no rot good, and they make their decision based on that. But the reality is, it's how, not the warranty. You're not buying the warranty because there's so many outs. They have such deeper pockets than you. If they're not going to honor their warranty, I promise you they can find a clause in there that allows them to blame it on something that makes it not warrantable, right? Where it is the dealer's relationship with the manufacturer. If that dealer relationship with the manufacturer is solid, and the manufacturer is a good manufacturer, they can work together to make a solution for the consumer. In this situation, the boat, it was a pontoon that was listing. I don't know what they did on that boat. Bought in 2020, so maybe it was a COVID thing, but you can go and check it out. It's first time pontoon buyer advice. I, what I the real thing is you should have watched that video before you bought that boat 3 years ago. But he's went back to the dealer that he bought it from. But that dealer relationship is critical because the dealer relationship with the manufacturer is going to tell you, is going to be the thing that determines how well that warranty is resolved. That warranty issue is resolved. I think I'm explaining that right. I think you probably get it. But that was another one that I wanted to show. And yeah, if there's a brand, that's bounced around in your area, it doesn't stay at a dealer for more than a couple of years, it tells you something. It tells you that for whatever reason, they're having issues with warranty, with product quality, or they're not the other, or that dealer's just not selling it, right? The dealer can't produce and sell. And that can happen too, where the manufacturer will be like, we got somebody that's going to order 20 boats and you can only sell 3. And they'll pull it in those situations. But a lot of times it's because we had a bad experience with our warranty of this brand. They're not standing behind the product and we can't have it. I've talked to dealers that have, I'm going to name some names, but Savannah Boats is one that I had a dealer say, I can't do it anymore. Had another dealer that walked away from Sailfish like 10 years ago. Now, Sailfish has a new CEO. Rob Parmentier came in, former guy at Sea Ray. He came into Sailfish and has turned that around. So I don't think those issues are there, but they're like, we can't, we're a premium level dealership and we can't stand behind the products the way we want to if our manufacturer relationship sucks. So we're walking and we're picking up somebody better. Those types of things definitely happen. And if you just pay attention in your market area, you can see some of those trends. If a brand's bouncing all around, there's probably something to that. Levi, welcome. That's a new name I don't recognize. Took a good look at Sportsman this weekend at the boat show. Was thoroughly impressed. Fit and finish, the bilge access. Yep, for sure. Levi, we've got Brock is on here. He has a Sportsman. We've got a couple other Sportsman folks here. I've been to the Sportsman factory and know some folks there, know several Sportsman dealers. And yeah, a good, solid mid-tier boat. I really like their drainage system, the way they drain things below deck to the scupper so water doesn't come in if you got a little extra weight in the boat. I think they do a nice job delivering good value. Not, I say keeping the price down. Everything's gotten more expensive, but they do a good job giving what you need in the boat and building a quality boat. And so I'm glad that that you inspected it and you knew what to look for when you were inspecting it at the show. So awesome, and welcome to the channel. Fishing. Okay, good. So that is hopefully valuable for you. And there's a whole bunch of questions that would need to be answered for me to give a better, more specific response. But again, watch those videos, and I think you will. I think you'll do well. Kind of filling in some holes as you start your research. Let's see here. Deja look at Sea Pro Key West. Too small, 90% fishing focused, family, 3 riders. Yeah, that's Larry. That's a really good point. Is how many people are going to be with you? Is a is a 16 to what'd you say 16 to 19? I think is what you said. You know, if you look at this 15, you got two people on there. You put maybe two kids there, and you are loaded up. Matter of fact, I'm guessing the capacity on that boat is four, maybe five. Let's see here. Maximum, yeah, five. So, it's rated for five, but when you think about you're not getting five of me on that boat. Five of me were 300 pounds over the maximum person weight. My family of four, my wife, myself, and my two kids that are teenager or that are 12 and 10. Yeah, we could probably fit on there, but it's going to be tight. So think about those types of things. Let me plug in real quick before my battery dies on me. Um, so think about those types of things as well. There we go. I had a feeling that we'd be hearing from Brock in the comments on that one. Yeah, he's had a 247 for I think 3 4 years, 3 years maybe, and has had a great experience with it. You're very welcome. 211, 100%, 100%. Thank you, Joseph. I appreciate that. Um, I always love to see in the comments. And welcome to the channel. That's a name I don't recognize. Michaela, good to have you. All right, Michaela, I'm waiting for a picture of you and your hubby in the shirts. So when next time you're out of the boat, maybe you're just waiting for it to warm up. Next time you guys are out there, I would love a picture if you wouldn't mind sharing that. And also, let me know, Michaela, let me know what you think of the quality of the shirt. So I switched my printers. Um, it's probably been 6 months, and so I just like to spot check them. I've ordered before I switched over everything. I ordered a bunch of shirts for my girls, my wife, myself. As a matter of fact, this hoodie is one that I got from that printer, and I've been pretty happy. But I always like to check in when people get them. So, all right, what else we got going on? In the world of boating, we got boat shows. The Miami Boat Show was just a couple weekends ago. What else is happening in the world of boating that we need to talk about? Um, warm weather. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. You had a few things to get done. So, what was on my mind? There was. Let's see here. I had. I got a list of videos that I'm working to learn to. Is it hard to drive a boat legally? The There's nothing good there. Those are all video ideas. I did buy because I'm a weirdo. Uh, I got. I went to the store. I was doing the boats drive like cars, and because I've got girls, I don't have any little toy trucks around here or anything. So I went to the store and I got me a new rig, the Jeep and a wake boat, so I could shoot that video. So this is my new toy. that my my daughter came home from playing with her friends, and she saw the box, and she's like, "What are you doing? Why are you buying toys?" I'm like, because I can, because I call it work. It's work. So all right. Thanks. Already reached out to my closest dealer. Big picture. Do you think pricing trending down? Try something this year. Yeah, yeah. And when did I do my last market update? I think it's probably been month and a half, 2 months ago. Let's see here. Videos. That was boat show. Market update was 2 months ago, and let me see what the Come on. Okay, so December 22nd. So yeah, that was almost right at 2 months ago. Probably time to do another one. But so here's what's going to happen, Larry, is it's going to depend. It's going to depend. Prices are, in my opinion, prices are about as low as they're going to get macro. Okay. We are Inventory levels are as high as they're going to be. And I'll explain why I think that here shortly. Inventory levels are as high as they're going to be. There's a lot of inventory there, but it's winter. Okay. So boat shows are happening. They'll stay low until we'll call it April, May. Then the demand is going to hit. Okay. So buyers are going to be out there. The weather's going to be in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. People are going to get the boating itch. And so naturally, the market price goes up because they're in season pricing. Okay. Now that's just what happens. Prices come down in the winter, they go up in the summer. You hit 4th of July, Labor Day, they start to go back down. All right. So that's the seasonal trend. Inventory is high, prices come down. Inventory gets low, prices go up. All right. So those are two factors that we need to know. Now, here's what's going to happen is if it's a 2023, those are going to be heavily discounted. Okay. 2023s, if there's any 2022s out there, those are real heavily discounted. But dealers want them gone. Interest, curtailment payments, they've got to make loan payments on all of their boats. So they've got millions of dollars of inventory. Their creditor, their floor plan financer is saying, hey, Mr. Dealer, you can't use any more credit. You're maxed out until you pay off some of these older boats because they're depreciating. You've got to make your payments on them, but you can't order new 2024s and 2025s till these are gone, right? So those are going to continue to be low until they're gone. 2024s are not going to be discounted until the 2023s are gone, right? For those models. So like maybe there's a 5% discount on a 24 and there would be a 25% discount on a 23. That's how it's going to be until that 23 is gone. Now the 24 will come down to a 10% discount, 15% discount, whatever it is. But here's why we're at the highest level of inventory is because they've already built their 24s. Manufacturers are watching the marketplace. Manufacturers are watching the dealer network inventory levels, and they're saying, shit, we have got too many boats on the market. So when they make their plans for the 2025 model year, the production schedule, they say, we're not running 2 lines of those boats. We're only running 1 line. We're not running 2 shifts. We're just running 1 shift. And so they're going to bring down the number of boats that they produce for the 2025 model year. That's going to allow the 23s to be sold at discounts. The 24s, depending on how many boats sell in this year, the 24s may be heavily discounted, but not as heavily as the 23s because they won't be building as many 25s, if that makes sense. So the total network inventory level is going to be coming down this year. That's going to reset. Manufacturers are going to leave their MSRP where it is. And it all depends on what happens here. But you're likely not going to get bigger discounts unless we get to Labor Day and there's still 23s on the books. So there's still a 5%, even 5% would be a lot. Labor Day of 2024, if there's still 23s on the lot, those are going to be cost, right? Maybe even less than cost if it's a really bad situation. But that's the way I see it. So it's down, but as soon as we get that seasonality uptick, dealers are going to be like, hey, we got people. We're going to be pushing 23s at the discounts. But when we get through the season, if most of the 23s, if not all of them, are gone, the 24s are not gonna need to be discounted as much. So hopefully I explained that, why I think that's going to be the case, because the manufacturers are gonna adjust their production levels so they don't oversaturate the inventory levels. Now, with that said, every market, every segment is going to be different. So center consoles are going to be different in size, premium, mid-tier, value, parts of the country. It's going to be different for everybody. So in the next year, somebody in the Northeast is likely going to pay a little bit different than somebody in the South on one area, because the Northeast has too many, South is at a good level, and that's just the nature of the free market economy. So that there's too many variables to give an overarching statement, but that's what as far as for you, I don't know where you are, Larry. Maybe I do, but that's the way I see it going down. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully I explained the inner workings there well enough. Quality's amazing. Worn mine a couple times. Nice. Doesn't shrink. That's what I was really curious about. Love the fabrics. Breathable, comfy. Definitely good shirt. Awesome. 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 Good to hear. Thank you for that. And I got to ask you, I'm not asking Jason. Jason's like, yeah, it's good. It's a good shirt. Let's see. David, welcome, David, a new name. Did you know that New York will require all boat captains to have a license to drive a boat in 2025, no matter how old you are? Yeah, there's a lot of states. There's a lot of states that are going to that. Eric, I will get to you right next. Eric Overland, thank you for the contribution. There's a lot of states that are going to. Everybody has to have a boater license. Some of them have staggered it in based on date of birth, where eventually everybody will have it. But yes, tell me the difference between a single cup versus duo cupped prop 22 Tritune. Double cupped prop. Eric, I am not sure what you mean by single cupped prop. Dual cupped prop. Double cup. You'll see the prop acting like a higher pitch prop pushing the boat. Okay, so I'm gonna have to. Let me see it. Maybe um, all right. So what I'm getting, Eric, is that it just has more cup. So it's like if you, how do I want to describe this? All right. So the the shape the shape of that propeller blade is going to give different qualities, right? The Sharo propeller that has the negative space in it, it it allows it to be more efficient and to get a truer distance based on the pitch. So the pitch is the distance it travels in one rotation of the prop, right? So it's like a screw that propeller is basically screwing into the water. There's something called slippage, which is the it should be a 17 pitch propeller, which means it's going to go 17 inches. I don't know if that's the right measurement, but 17 whatever unit of measurement through the water in if it was going through a solid material. Okay. Now there's slippage 10 to 15%. So instead of it going 17 units through the water, it may actually only go 14 or 15 through the water. That's slippage. From what I'm gathering from him is that because of the design of that propeller blade, the cup, you're getting a better grip on the water and you're getting less slippage. That's what I'm gathering from it, but that's interesting. I've never heard that language before. Cupping the propeller provides a lot of benefits relative to small changes to the blade. And if you heard him, he talked about the like so when that slippage happens, there's like a little slipstream that comes off the propeller blade. It's what Sharrow has been basically not totally, but basically eliminated with their design because it doesn't have that slippage. They eliminate the like if you've ever been on an airplane and you see the air coming off the wings, like it's the same concept but in water. That is, I think in the airplanes it might be drag or vortex. That's what it is, vortexes that are forming back there, and because of that vortex, the aerodynamics are reduced slightly. Okay, I've got my VFR license as well as a pilot. I went through it like 15, 20 years ago. So I like that vortex is going to reduce the efficiency of the plane moving through the air. Same thing happens as that propeller spinning around. There's little vortexes, there's little streams that come off the prop, which is eliminating or reducing the efficiency of the propeller. But do this. Do this. Let me do some more research on it, so I can give you a more definitive answer between the two. So Eric, just email me at this email, captain at Boater Secret Weapon, and I'll do a video. I'll do a video for you on it. I'll put it up on my channel, but I'll do it for you and try to answer that question, because that is one that I think I know what they're talking about, but I want to be 100%. I want to be 100% clear on it. So email me there and I'll get back to you on it. All right. Where was I? And thank you also, Eric, for that contribution. Very, very much appreciated. And you jumped ahead of the line, so that is always a good thing. All right. All right. Warmer weather. Larry, we were talking quality. We talked David. I think I answered you. And I did a video. It's been a while. I did a video on the different license requirements that are out there. It's probably time to update it because more and more states are going to that type of boater safety course requirement, boater certificate, boater license. Somewhere in that the language and the requirements are changing. Dealer called to touch base the other day on some warranty issues. Know exactly what the issue was, where we found the issues. Let's say, yeah, that's awesome. Make sure happy customers. And it's such a smart business plan. Like, so you guys, when you get your next boat, when you're referring people, when you're talking to your friends, you're like, go see that dealer. They were awesome. The dealers that don't do it, I just don't understand the short-sightedness of not providing that level of service. But just like everything, not everybody does it. And, it's, I think it's very short-sighted. Weather was in the 70s. Last week had 2 days in the 70s. Chicagoland never. Yeah, I saw some people on Fox Lake, I think Fox Lake in Illinois, were they were putting docks out. They're like, we have never put docks out in February. It was like February 28th, and they were putting docks out. They're like, we have never been able to put docks out in February, where we know it's not, the water's not going to freeze up again. We're past that. Even if we get a cold snap, if it hasn't froze solid, they can put bubblers in and make it work. But yeah, it's wild. Hopefully that means it'll be a nice boating season. Perfect, good deal. How do you feel about installing a HydroGuard propeller guard to stabilize 140 Evinrude 86? I would not. Um, uh, tell me, Beth, tell me why you think you want to do that. Um, Hydro guard. Um, tell me why you would want to do that, and I want to make sure I'm looking at the right one specifically. Hydro Shield products. Okay, that's the one I was thinking of. So you're looking at that. Now, any one is it's an 86, okay? So you've got to if you look when you install it, you actually got to drill through the skeg, which on that engine, you crack that skeg and it's could be problematic. You're also there's more drag there's more drag on the boat. Yes, you have the hydrofin, which in theory should give you more lift, but it's going to be lift in the back of the boat. And depending on, get my new toy out. So you're going to get more lift in the back, depending on the balance of your boat. Is it, I don't know what you're running it on, but is it going to give you the right attitude, bow high attitude, where you're not going to be running flat, making it you know, be a rougher ride in chop. And also, I don't know. I don't like aftermarket things like that. If that was a better option for the engines to run more efficiently, then manufacturers would be playing with that. They would be looking at shipping boats that lower units look like this. Why don't they? Well, because it's it's gimmicky. It's gimmicky where they're trying to sell you something for a boat that's underpowered typically. And frankly, if if you're getting it to protect the prop, well, the skeg is going to protect the prop. That's what that's there for. It's very unlikely that you're going to hit something that is going to miss the skeg but get the propeller. It could happen. It certainly could happen, but it's unlikely. I mean, you're especially on a 140. Your propeller diameter is not going to be that big where it's going to be catching a bunch of debris. Um, if you're in the rocks, well, guess what? You shouldn't be in there, right? You should trim it up a little bit and use a trolling motor if you're running in that shallow water. I don't see a situation where I would recommend it. And especially on a motor that old, I wouldn't want to do anything to make it have to work any harder than what it does. So, all right, still a lot of national uncertainty. Will get worse into the summer. Consumers may be nervous. The rich, yeah, and her the that's where the segments come in. I think the value market is going to get hit harder. Those boats are going to have to be discounted more through the summer. But there's also when you look at the economy as a whole, the industry only is going to sell 300,000 boats, right? the this is where I look at when you look at the macro level, it's bad for a lot of people right now. Like there are a lot of people that are struggling. But then when you start diving deeper, is yeah, that's a segment of the market, but there's a lot of people with a lot of money. And there's some people that are going to be going from I was doing okay, I got promoted. My business was starting up, and my business took off. I started investing in the market, and my portfolio took off. My house was whether this is smart or not. My house was worth 200,000 when I bought it. Now it's worth 550. I can tap into that equity and finally get the boat. And they only need on the new side 250,000 boats. On the total side, if they sell 800,000 boats, it's probably a successful year. And so that's what I look at is that there's always people that are going to be buying boats. And I think that they'll adjust the production levels accordingly this year. I called it back in 2020 that the manufacturers would overproduce when the production or when the demand fell. They do it every time, and they push the inventory down the dealers' throats. In a lot of cases, there were a few manufacturers that didn't, but by and large, they all forced it down the manufacturers' throats, because they're more profitable that way. They're more efficient in the production line. But they also know they can't produce boats a year out unless they can sell those others, because the dealers, one, some dealers are going to go out of business. Two, they can't buy new inventory because their lines of credits are maxed out. And I know for a fact that there's floor plan lenders that are saying, hey, until you sell X amount, your line's cut off. No more new boats on your credit line until you pay some of that off and sell some of these boats. And that's gonna be real taxing for some manufacturer or for some dealers out there, and it's going to put some of them out of business that didn't manage their money well. So yeah, it's but it's going to be that lower end, because the yacht buyers, we'll call it 500,000 and above, that group they're going to have money whether they spend it or not. They're probably going to be spending it. That mid tier, hey, there's going to be new people that are climbing the ladder, climbing the economic ladder, and get to that point, make the decision to buy because of their micro economic situation. But it's that people that, hey, we get an extra $300 a month, let's buy a boat. It's that group that's really going to get squeezed. The Bass Pro Shops, the Bayliners, that group is going to get smaller, but not non-existent. I mean, take Julie, I think was talking earlier, asking about, hey, I just want to. No, that wasn't Julie. Deja, a 15 to 17 foot center console. That she's still in that market of, hey, I just want to get started in boating. I've always wanted to boat, and now her financial situation allows her to go down that path and do it. That's awesome, and those people are out there. And Deja is one of thousands that is. It's not the 50,000 that was during the pandemic. So tractors were plowing fields. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy to be getting fields ready now. I wonder if they're doing that in Nebraska. Mike, I grew up in Nebraska, so I've got both my parents grew up farming, and I've got aunts and uncles that were farmers, hog farmers. I had two uncles that were hog farmers. Two of my uncles sold feed, Garst feed, and I don't remember what Uncle Ted sold, but yeah, so that's interesting. What's the process of repowering a pontoon from Suzuki to a Yamaha? So, what Kings of the City, what you want to look at, one is you want to check what is the the pontoon rated for. It'll be on that little placard, the black and yellow placard on the side, probably up by the throttle somewhere. You want to look at what's the max horsepower rating. I don't know what year your pontoon is, but know that if it was built when two strokes were the norm, that four strokes are slightly heavier than comparable two strokes from back in that day. Just keep that in mind. You don't want to overload it. Assuming that's not an issue for you. The next thing you want to look at is, okay, I can get a Suzuki and save 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 grand over a Yamaha or a Merc. What you want to look out for is, do I need to replace the controls? If you switch brands, even if you don't, sometimes depending on what you go from what to what, do I need to replace my controls, so my actual throttle lever? Do I need to replace my cable, my steering and throttle cable? Do I need to adjust that? Do I need to adjust anything on the engine pod? Now, on a pontoon, there's probably less likely. This is more common if you're putting it on a bow rider or a center console where there's other stuff there, and the shape and the size of the cowling and the upper could impact like steering. It could hit stuff. It's something that's, if they really have designed it tight, then hey, you got to be careful that if you get too big, it could cause problems. So, but the big one for you on the pontoon is weight of the new unit. Are you within specs of horsepower rating? Because if you're not, you're putting yourself in a position where the welds could break, that pod could not be strong enough to support it, and your $30,000 motor is at the bottom of the drink or hanging off because it was too heavy, put too much torque on the boat. Like, imagine putting the hammer down. If you move up to a 200, you put the hammer down and it's only rated for a 90. Well, that's a lot of extra twisting on the frame of the boat, on the pod, a lot of extra pressure that can cause problems. But definitely make sure you check how much is it going to be to install it, because you're likely to need new cables, a new control box, and that can add up price wise. So keep those things in mind. That's actually an interesting video idea as well, is what to consider repowering. When repowering. Let's see here. Pilot Properties. Just had a dealer tell me I had to put a deposit down before they would process my financing application. Is that normal? Yeah, it's not odd by any means. Typically, it's something that you would do. You can, if you want, go to Boater Secret Weapon / boat loan, maybe. If you go to Boater Secret Weapon and Resources, you can go to Boat Loan Quote and Pilot Properties. I'll match you up with a lender that specializes in whatever you're buying. So I get some information, your state, the type of boat, the down payment, credit. If you're buying from a dealer, the year of the boat, and I run it through some filters and say, oh, you would be a good fit for this one or for this one or for this one. Or we don't have somebody that we can match you with based on the criteria, and you can do that. But it is not unheard of. It is not, I wouldn't be, my scam radar doesn't go up when you say that to me. It's like, that's just, hey, if you're serious about buying the boat, we're going to put the financing together for you. Let's take this boat off the market. And what they're really doing is saying, let's make sure this guy is committed so that he doesn't keep shopping around. Like, that's their salespeople mentality, is let this guy some money in the cash register so we know he's serious, and we keep him from shopping and we get him to buy this boat. Like it's just a commitment thing that they want from you. But there's work involved, right? There's I'll say a little bit of money. It cost them $10 to run a credit report, but they got to process that. They got to go through it. So not uncommon and not a scam. But check out our options. If you get matched, compare it to what your dealer gives you. Go with the best one. That is always a wise idea. If it's used, if you're buying a used unit that is 5 years or older, 10 years or older, also check with your local credit union. Sometimes they can have some really good terms that will beat the lenders that I partner with, and the dealer lender. So worth checking out. Best online resources looking to buy a used bass tracker, bass boat, some type of fishing boat big enough for 3 guys. Um, I mean, the usual suspects. The Boat Trader is going to have the most well-rounded inventory of all boats. Most dealers are going to put their inventory there. I would also look Facebook Marketplace. Watch out for scams. Keep your scam radar up. We've got a video that talks about scams, what to look for, how to avoid getting scammed. Check that out. There's some things that are red flags that you'll find in that video. Depending on the price point, Dan, that you're looking at, Craigslist is another spot where, again, watch out for the scams. Watch out for people trying, send me a deposit. Unlike where Pilot Properties was like, oh, that seems reasonable. If a private individual is asking you to Venmo them $500 for a deposit, I'm not going to do that. I'll give it to a dealer that's not going anywhere, and I know their address. They've got 10 boats sitting on the lot. They've been in business for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I'm fine giving them $500 to hold a boat. I'm not fine giving Joe Schmo off the internet $100 to hold a boat. Just not going to do it. So, but those would be the main places. You can also go on Facebook and go into the fishing boat communities, or the fishing groups, the fishing communities in your local area. Say, hey, I'm looking for a bass tracker. I'm looking for a 18-foot bass boat, aluminum, for under 20 grand, under 30 grand, under 10 grand, whatever it is. Put it out there, and you'll have people that are maybe have their boat listed, maybe don't, that you can find that are local, and you can find some good opportunities that way. But those would be the main places that I would look. Fox waterways are about 2 feet down in Wisconsin. Haven't seen any rain. Afraid you might not be able to open up. Ew. Yeah, that is a nice thing about warm weather, but droughts and lack of snow in some areas, lack of rain is can cause some huge issues. I was Oh shoot, this was 10 years ago. I was down in Austin at what's the lake in Austin now? Um, Lake in Austin, Texas. Lake Travis. Lake Austin? Lake Travis. I was at Lake Travis like 10, 15 years ago for an industry event, and it was down like 70 feet. It was insane. I know it's filled up a bunch, but you could see docks like just you go to a place and the docks are sitting on the bottom, right? But there was dock sitting on the bottom, and then you would see a dock floating like 100 feet off the shore. But then you would look up and you would see a boat and a dock sitting 20 feet high. You would look another 20 feet up and you would see another like walkway, permanent walkway that's just dangling there, because the water used to be up there and it was down so far. It was crazy. It was crazy. But Yeah, that can cause a problem. Um, and by the way, welcome Dan, welcome Pilot Properties. Always love to see new names. Here's another one. Uh, Colton Hare, welcome. I'm new to boats, looking at a '09 Taiga 305 V Drive. No, not that I'm aware of. Um, Again, it's a 20-year-old, 15-year-old boat, we'll say. So just run it. Make sure you do your test drive. Make sure you inspect it. And when you're inspecting the wake boats, um, make sure that you inspect the fat sacks. Make sure that you inspect, like you fill up the ballast and you empty the ballast, and you sort of check around. Are there leaks? Is there any pump that's not working properly? Check the surf system. Is it? I don't know in '09 what Tiger was using. I don't think they've come out with their taps yet, but are there surf systems deploying if it has one? Are the if it has a touchscreen in '09? Probably not, but whatever controls does it have that? Are they working well? And I don't think you've got it on '09, but go through all of those details, and then set it up for surfing. If you can surf it, if that's how you're going to use the boat, make sure that you surf it, that it runs good at those RPMs. Run it some wide open throttle. Check the prop shaft, right? So you've got that big shaft coming out. That's all has to be, especially in a V drive, it's got to be aligned really nice and straight. And check if it's got the drip shaft. Check and make sure that, hey, you've got the right timing on the drip. Um, uh, you might have to look at the owner's manual to find that. Talk to the Taiga dealer locally, and they can probably tell you like what's the drip per second, if it's a wet shaft. But all of those types of things you want to look at on a boat like that. But no, nothing that jumps out at me from the type and manufacturer. But those are things that, hey, because it's a used boat, check those things. So hopefully that's valuable for you. Um, Kings in the City, sticking with some horsepower. Only problem is 15 dealers, 60-mile radius, one dealer with Suzuki. Yeah, it is. It's the weak point. It's the weak point in their business model right now. Um, Great product, good value, good pricing, but they need to get more Suzuki techs out in the world, in different parts of the country. And one is getting on the backs of transoms and new boats, and then the dealers are going to start paying to send them to Suzuki school and to get them trained. But the independent techs, you know, those are going to be a little bit slower to a little bit slower to get trained and start supporting them. What are things I should consider? Hopefully, I answered that. Also, looking at a new Hurricane deck boat with an outboard 185. All right, so Colton, zero in on what you want to do with that boat, because Taiga and a Hurricane are going to give you two totally different boating experiences. Okay, so the Hurricane can't surf it, don't want to surf it, isn't going to put out a surf wave anyway, no matter how much ballast you put in there. It's got a flat bottom. It's not going to do it. The Taiga, it's going to put out with weight, with ballast, it's going to put out a surf wake, but it's going to give you a super rough ride. It's not going to have any top end speed, and your layouts, the top side, the lifestyle of it is going to be fairly different as well. So zero in on, how are we going to use this boat? Who are we going to use this boat with? What are we going to do when we're out on the water? So you can start going down the right path of boat style, before you start. And you can inspect these boats, that's fine, but really think through that, so you don't go down the path of the Hurricane and be like, damn it, I really want to surf. Can't do it now. If you go down the path of the Taiga and you're like, man, I really want to do some fishing, Well, you can do it, but it's not going to be great. We just want to cruise. Well, you can do it, but it's not going to be as comfortable. You don't have trim. You've got that V drive. You have no control over the attitude of the boat. They ride a little bit lower. It's going to be rough. It's going to be wet. And all of those things are going to impact your boating fun. Could be a great boat, but if it doesn't support the way you want to use it, then you're going to be disappointed. I don't want that. Let's see. Facebook user, handheld VHF. Have you done a show on this? So I've got a video recorded. When I was up in Atlantic City, and I did it with the ICOM rep of, hey, different VHF radios, different things to consider. The audio, it was a big loud conference room where there was like 400 exhibitors. The audio is so crappy that I've got to redo all of those videos. Spent a whole day shooting video, interviewing people, VHF radio, some solar stuff, some lithium battery stuff, Seakeeper, their new ride system. That one I think I can salvage. At least do a voiceover. But there was like a new power pole, electric power pole. That's not power pole, but a shallow water anchor, a pontoon windlass system that was pretty good by Lippert. Both of those were, but the audio is so crappy. So I have, where's mine? Mine might be in the boat bag here. I can't get to my office is all crazy tore up. You can't see by all the crap laying all over. I tried to, if I put it this way, you can't see, but I got my trailer tug, my shooting videos today. Oh, Nelly. There we go. I'm back. I think that's what I get for showing my disaster at an office. But so I've got a standard Horizon. What is it? An 890, H890, I think. I would go standard Horizon or ICOM. They're going to be solid. If you're a coastal boater, get one that's got the DCS or DSC. It's the little red window that flips up and it's got a button. You can program an MMSI number in it that will, if you're in distress, you can hit that button. It automatically blasts out your GPS coordinates, your pre-programmed. You got to pre-program it and register MMSI number, which then has all your vessel information, all your personal contact information, emergency contact, all of that. It blasts it out to everybody, including the Coast Guard, towboats, all that. And it's got built-in GPS. That's the one that you want if you're at the coast. If you're an inland boater, if you're boating on a smaller lake, you just want it for communication with docks and with other boaters. That's not as important. But if you're offshore at all, that's the one I would get, is to make sure you've got GPS, DSC or DCS. I always get those mixed up. I'm a little dyslexic. And MMSI. Those are the three things that you want to look for. And also you want to get the 6 watt, 5 watt. That's going to give you more distance in your signal, versus the cheaper ones some of them are just 1 watt, which is, fine if you're using it on a smaller area. You don't need that distance travel. The more wattage, the more power, the further it's going to go. A couple of things, but I'm going to be redoing that one. I just got to put it together. Does $2,500 deposit sound reasonable on a $90,000 boat? If you're financing, yes. Some will take up to 10% because you got to have 10% down to buy the boat anyway. So, and here's the way they look at it. If you're serious about buying the boat and you're capable of buying the boat, 2,500 of 90 or 9 grand that you're going to need anyway should be easily doable. You should be able to come up with that on the spot if you're going to buy the boat. Now, if you're not serious, if you're not really serious about buying the boat, they don't want to tie it up because they want to offer it to whoever's going to buy it the fastest. If $2,500, if you can't come up with it, they're like, you're probably not qualified. Maybe the credit's not going to get approved. If they're hesitant to put it down, maybe they're not as serious about buying this boat as we thought they were. So that's not uncommon. And there's a lot of dealers that will go 10% because that's what you have to have for a down payment. So write us a check for that, and we'll lock that boat in. We'll take it off the market because that's essentially what the deposit's doing. Is it's taking it off the market so nobody else can buy it, and then it's yours for whatever period of time. Maybe they got 14 days to take delivery, 30 days to take delivery, to get your financing all set and to pay for that boat. So they're just trying to ensure that they're not taking that boat off the market if there's something in the transaction that's not going to go through. So that does seem like a reasonable number to me. Any boat suggestions for a soon-to-be retired guy, first-time boat owner that plans to join the pro circuit? Dan, I don't. That would be something that Brock, if he's still on, he fishes a lot of tournaments, serious fisherman. Here's what I'll tell you, Dan, is I would say your level of success fishing on the pro circuit is going to be more about your fishing knowledge than the boat you have. Maybe there's some level of electronics that will give you a leg up, but my gut tells me that the boat is more about a showpiece than being successful, right? So now most of the most successful guys have the more expensive boats because they're sponsored. But as you're getting started, I would focus on your fishing knowledge and I would focus on your electronics probably than the specific brand of boat. Make sure the fishability is good though. And that's where I think Brock could probably give you some insights that I just don't have right now. What I've wanted to do is partner with a fishing pro that's not sponsored by a boat brand or is in the switching process, where they can give some good advice on bass boats but speak honestly. That's hard when you start to get sponsored. It's hard to speak honestly because you got to toe the company line and you got to say good stuff about them and not necessarily bad stuff, but can't say anything about the competitor. So you're welcome for sure. Glad that was helpful. 350, 400 boats are still selling. 30 to 150 boats are slow. Yeah. So, which is crazy that 150 is still kind of that first entry, that you're just getting into, 90 to 100,000 is still entry. 150 might be a little bit higher. So, yeah, that's crazy. Tony, thank you for that insight. I'm curious, are you a dealer or you just have some industry insights? Always love to hear where the info comes from. Yeah, ICOM 94, and that's the video it was great content. It was just so hard. The audio is so bad, and I'm not big on high production quality. I'm big on content. I'm big on, is it valuable content? Is it valuable information? But this was even tough for me to edit and to listen to. So I was like, I got to recreate these and do them myself. So DSC, digital selective calling. Yeah, there you go. I don't know why I get those mixed up. I get a bunch of crap on the channel for I did one. It was on VHF radios, and I talk about NEMA cabling, that National Marine Engineering Electrical Association, but NEMA, it's the it's the standard set for cabling on electronics and boats, right? Um, and I call it NEMA. That's the way you refer to it, but it's NMEA, and I put it NEMA. Oh my God, they were all over me that I didn't know what I was talking about, and there's no way. I'm like, I'm just not good with acronyms and letters and details, and so thank you for that, Brock. That's where I was going. Can you give some insight on cost of Tri-Tune trailers? Pricing I should expect. Originally told 6, then it was actually 9. 9 seems it's gonna depend on the size and the weight. But I think you said, did you say 22? I don't remember, but 7 to 9 feels about right for a tri-tune. It's going to depend. Is it galvanized? Is it painted steel? Or is it aluminum? It's going to depend on. I'm going to assume it's a dual axle, not a single axle. But let's say and let's see if we can do this. Shorelander trailers. I don't know if Shorelander does a build a trailer or not. Where did you go? Come on. Well, the Shorelander website does not like me. Let's go to how much is a 22-foot tandem tri-tune trailer with brakes? Okay, so you definitely want bunks. So you don't want a scissor trailer. You want to go with the bunks. So here's a 22 um, for $5,000. Now I am gonna say this one. It's a painted trailer. Two, I don't know these guys. Mid America Trailer, Wake Boss. Yeah, I'm not gonna put a lot of credence in that price, but that's $5,000 for 5,000 pound 13-inch tires. Those are tiny tires. You want bigger tires than that. They're not showing the side view, probably for a reason. And it's painted. So painted's going to be the cheapest. If you're freshwater all the time, I'm totally fine with painted. If you're ever, even one time, going to go in saltwater, galvanized or aluminum, probably galvanized is going to be fine because you don't have to worry too much about weight. But you also, on the pontoon trailers, you want a third bunk on for the tri-tune. You want that supported. You want brakes. Maybe your state requires them. At least brakes on one axle, whatever your state requirements is. And then also, I think a ladder on a pontoon trailer is really important. Or not really important, really helpful. It's worth it. But that's going to put you, I would guess, around 7,000 for a retail cost on one that has bigger tires. It depends on how far you're traveling, but imagine the smaller the diameter of the tires, the more rotation it has to do. And if you're going down the interstate at 70, those little tires are going to get super hot in August going down blacktop. A bigger tire is going to have fewer rotations, fewer RPMs. They're not going to get as hot. They're going to last longer. They're going to be safer. You're going to be less likely to blow it out. And they're going to be able to support the weight a little bit better. I can't tell on this how big the tires are, but 13-inch is little, right? That's tiny. So yeah, I would say 7 to 9,000 seems reasonable. depending on how it's optioned out. But third bunk for sure. Guides. I also really like guides on a trailer, especially if you're newer. I like the inside ones that are a 2x4 or a 2x6. Probably a 2x4 is fine. That go on the inside of the outside pontoons, and it just sort of once you get the nose on, boom, it's going to get you straight on every time. There's just a little bit of a couple inches side to side so that it's not dragging, but it makes loading it much easier, especially if you're loading wind or current. So that's also valuable. 100K for 2022 new boat. Note the manufacturer has gone out of business. How much of a deal should I choose? Concerned about resale. I would 100% be concerned about resale. I would 100% ask, why did they go out of business? And what unique stuff do they have on the boat? So what components are no longer going to be available that you can't get aftermarket? Now, I don't know the style of the boat. I don't know anything about it. How many boats did they build? If you want to tell me who it is, I can give you a little bit more insight if I know them. But I am not big. I'm not big on, especially if it's a specialty type boat, on buying a brand or a manufacturer that's gone out of business, unless you get a smoking deal, especially right now, because there's probably other comparable boats that are still in business that, well, let me pull that back a little bit. RW depends on how long you're going to keep it. If you're going to keep it for 20 years, it's less important on resale. Like, in 20 years from now, it's going to sell for what it's going to sell for. It's going to be a tiny fraction of your original price. You got all the use out of it. The problem is going to be in the components part that I talked about. If you want to sell that boat in 3 years, well, now resale is going to be a huge problem. And there's probably an opportunity to get almost as good a deal on a manufacturer that's still building boats, that will still be building boats in 3-5 years, that you're going to be able to sell it for a higher amount. Now, the more specialty the boat is, if it's a center console brand and they're using Simrad, they've got a Yamaha on it, it's got a Sure Shade on it, the canvas is Sombrella, it's got JL audio. Now I'm not as concerned. I know I'm going to take it on the resale side, but if I save enough up front, okay. But if it's like whatever, if it's a new surf boat that just came out that's not building anymore, and they had their own unique screen, well, that screen's not going to be available anymore. That manufacturer is going to go out of business unless it's one of the major ones. If they use a different engine that most people don't use, that's going to be problematic. So there's a lot of details that go into it. But my initial reaction is find a different boat. You'll be happier. Yes, AIS as well. AIS is going to be the every boat has an individual ID number, and it can track where they are and the details on them, so that it goes with the MMSI number, all that registration talks, but it also, on a boat that has an AIS monitoring, I'll call it a monitoring system, but it can actually track all the boats. So the Coast Guard would have this, commercial ships would have this, some of the larger like Ceto Boat US boats would likely have this, but it can track all of the boats and where they are on their system. So, all right, awesome, Dan, you're good. Exactly, your knowledge of fishing in general. Yeah, Nitro Cat will do. Nice, thank you for that, Brock. 25. Okay, yeah, 25 foot. So now, yeah, now your price is much closer to the 9. Even on this one, let's see here. Custom fab, that's a 22 up to 24 foot is 6 grand. And so this is online. So this is going to be the cheapest of the cheap. And there I'm not even getting a pontoon trailer. But yeah, I would say closer to 9 on a 25 foot. In the weight's going to matter, but does it have that third bunk, which I think you need? Does it have a ladder, which I would recommend? Does it have trailer guides, which I would recommend? Um, does it have the bigger wheels, which I would recommend? Does it have brakes, which may be required? All of those things are going to add up from the base, and that's probably what happened. Is they probably gave you the base, and they're like, "Oh crap, that's a tri-tune. That's the smaller wheels. That's no brakes." Or they're just being shifty. That is can happen too, and might be something that you talk to somebody else. Good graphs are a must too. Traveling you're not familiar with overall boat layout's a big one for me. Yeah, I would almost think the boat layouts of Brock. I'm wondering, is that personal? Like, do you does your fishing style, does your personal preference come into play? Or are there some boats that are just poorly laid out for serious tournament fishing? Or is it more of a personal preference of I like to fish this way, so I want this here and this there? I don't know enough about fishing to have an opinion there, but that boat took me probably 2-3 months to get used to the Ranger, replace the Pro Cat. Yeah, so maybe it is a personal preference almost. Interesting. We had a guy take third place last year in our Thursday tournament. He was in a 16-foot express, obviously slower to the spot. He knew where to fish. Yeah, I think that is the key component to being in the money, which Brock is frequently. They build excellent tri-tune trailers. On my third one from them, who was that? Oh, Mid America. Okay, so that's coming from Weight Boss. Mid America trailers. Thank you, IT Consulting. IT Consulting. I did. I think you're the guy. But I did the pontoon inspection and inspected the Barlettas. Was doing it, and I noticed that seat issue that you had, the stitching not lining up, not on just one model, not on the Aria, but I noticed it on a Lusso. I noticed it on a Cabrio. I noticed it on multiple, and I put that in my review this time, so that's on video showing it on multiple boats. And I also talked to the Barletta rep, and I was like, "Listen, this for you guys, you should be upset at your." And I know who the provider is. Lippert is um, the supplier of their seats. So they build all the seats. They send it to Barletta. Barletta builds it, puts it on the boat. But I'm like, I would be sending all of these back. So I bet 30-40% of them were that way. And I'm just like, that's not, that is not acceptable in my opinion. So anyway, yeah, so depending on what horsepower you have on that trail, on that pontoon, on the 25, what configuration, what your weight is, I would guess you would be okay with the tandem, but there's a chance you would need a triaxle, but that's only if you've got like a 425 on that puppy, and a bar setup. So that would be another thing to consider. But thank you for that IT consulting. All right, guys, we are at an hour and 49 minutes. Thanks for the response. Actually, your videos were a great guide. Awesome. Love to hear it. Congratulations on the new boat. All right. Any opinion of flare gun versus electric? I'm gonna I'm gonna lean towards a flare gun if I'm out and I'm offshore at night. Why? Well, because it's got a greater field of vision, right? I'm getting it up high. People can see me from further around. If I'm just out and I'm in the bay and the distance isn't going to be as big of an issue, and there's going to be traffic, there's going to be shore, um, then the electric signal is going to be adequate. But the flare gun, where I can get that way up, that the horizon is going to light up, it's going to be more noticeable by more people, and you know, I can replace the flares frequently for the cost of a signal. Um, doesn't mean I wouldn't have both on the boat if I'm going out at night a decent amount. Because that flare goes away, um, and that that electric SOS signal is going to be going have a longer duration. So there's pluses and minuses. It depends on the situation, and the answer is probably both. Um, if I'm going out at dark consistently. All right, Levi. Let's see what Levi's got to say. What's your opinion on welded bunk trailer versus bolt-on for a 22 bay? Price worth the upgrade? I don't know. I don't have an opinion on that. I've never even thought about it. I didn't know that there was differences, Levi. I didn't know there was options. I didn't know that there was options on bolt versus weld. Well, I take that back. I do know that, but to me, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I categorize them as adjustable and fixed. So to me, a welded trailer is custom fit to the bottom of the boat, and it's going to stay with that boat. It's going to fit it like a glove, and it maybe looks nicer. The bolts are going to allow you to adjust it, fit to different boats, and it's going to fit almost like a glove if you have somebody that knows what they're doing adjusting it. In that case, I I don't have a preference. They're equal. The welded one's going to look a little bit better, in my opinion. Um, but if there's another reason why welding versus bolt is going to give you differences, I don't know it. So I would have to do a little bit of research on that to figure it out. Um, I'm trying to think in saltwater on a 22 bay boat, um, if I have any saltwater thoughts on a weld versus a bolt. Um, not really. Not really. Let me think about that a little bit, but there's nothing that jumps into my mind that I would want to pay more for one versus the other. Um, but I might be missing something. There might be something that I'm not thinking about. So fiberglass 22 fishing boat, most components are bolt on. Um, most components are bolt on. I think that might be Levi's question there. Um, yeah, and the to me, it's like the bolt on is it just makes it adjustable. You can it's going to be cheaper because the same trailer can fit multiple boats versus the welded that has to be set up exactly for that particular bottom. And it's so now you got to custom order a trailer for your 22 bay and your 22 20. As a matter of fact, you can fit your 22 23 and maybe 24, and you can get the same trailer and just adjust the bunks. And you ship it right to the dealer. The dealer adjusts the bunks, fits the boat, boom, you're ready to rock and roll. So that again, unless I'm missing something there. Any negatives you can be aware of? 25 Avalon Entertainer with 25-inch tunes. No, I think Avalon is a premium level boat. I think I don't know 25 Entertainer. And that's why that trailer is more expensive, because that Entertainer is the bar boat, I think. Avalon pontoon. That boat is heavy. I think. Catalina, would you say Catalina Entertainer? Elite windshield Entertainer. Yep. Yeah, that's what I thought. So that furniture is heavier, okay? Then, you figure just a regular seating is, you got a little bit of plastic. In Avalon's case, you got a little bit of aluminum. You got some starboard, some fabric, and some upholstery. Here, you've got a tabletop. You've got chairs with pedestals. You've got all the structure underneath. So my guess is this boat required you to get a heavier trailer than what they were initially thinking. That's my gut. That's my gut. Let's see. But no, if issues with it, let me say this. Let me pull up a different picture of this. Avalon 25 doesn't really matter. Images. So, Entertainer. So it's not really an issue. The only thing I want you to think about, there we go. Okay. So yeah, so you see how much more that is than if there was just a captain's chair there, right? That's a lot more weight, makes it heavier. So Pilot Properties is, how are you going to use the boat? So if you are, think about yourself sitting out of the water and the boat's rocking in the waves. It's going to be hard to sit at those bar stools. Not hard. It may or may not be as comfortable to sit at the bar stools as it would to sit in a lounge. But it depends on how you're going to use it. For me, I would never go with this layout because I'm not going to be I'm not going to be entertaining. I'm going to be out with my family. We're going to be lounging. Now, if you like to really bring people on, you want to put out a spread. You've got friends and you got family, and you're having hors d'oeuvres and you're having drinks and you're having snacks and you're playing cards and you're using it like you're losing like a floating living room, and you're like a game room. It's almost, that's the way I look at it. Like, hey, it's a floating game room. You got people moving around. You got people, sitting at the bar having cocktails, telling jokes and stories, and kids are swimming in the water. The adults are partying in the back. Everybody's having a great time. Then it's money. Then that's the layout that you're going to really enjoy. But if you're not that and you're just like, oh, that's so cool to have a bar, think about what you're really going to be doing out of the water. Do you want more area to lounge? Do you have people that are going to be, hey, that would be better if there was seating there or another lounger, because now you've got this little corner lounge. This is just a seat, and then you've got two lounges up front. So you've only got really three places to lounge. Do I want four, and maybe a swing back lounge would be better? Or are you that person that, hey, we're going to be hanging. We're going to be hanging out. We're going to be playing cards. We're going to be telling stories. We're going to be sitting there having sandwiches, and we like the idea of a bar. But remember, that bar is going to be in the water, rocking a little bit, and something that is right for some people is perfect. For other people, they get into it and they realize, oh crap, we don't use that the way we thought we would. So just think through that. Think through that. Derek, tell me you got a boat. Wondering what your opinion was. Sea Pro Boats brand you like. more reasonable. Yeah, it's a C Pro is in the mid tier, on the lower mid tier in that section, but um, it's going to give you more boat for the money. Just like all of the boats is, there's not many. I'm sure there's some that I would find and be like, don't buy this. There more would be because of the way the manufacturer supports it. There's a couple that jump to mind, like this boat. This is my opinion, but and somebody, I shouldn't even say this. Um, this is a boat that I would not buy. Um, this Razor. I think this Razor is a boat that non first time boaters get taken advantage of. There's some things they do in the build that are just dumb, and I think they get people because it looks so unique and different. That would be a boat I'd be like, don't buy that. It is, but I also guarantee there's somebody out there that has one that thinks it's the greatest thing since sliced bread and would say I'm a total idiot. So but I know they don't build many of these, and so that resale value is the concern here. That it takes a special person to want that boat, and yeah. So there's some boats that I'd be like, don't, but not many. That C Pro, if you got a good dealer in your area, I think that could be a good fit for you, Derek. And Derek, listen, you've been in the comments for a long time now. Is this the year? I hope I hope that you find the right one, and if it's the right timing for you personally, financially, there's opportunity to get good value now if everything else lines up, right? All right, just for grins and giggles, I went on Bennington website to ask for a trade-in submitted to Munson where I bought it. Nobody called me back. I'm sure that they have a lot of inventory. Um, Probably don't. Yeah. Here's here's some of what is happening is that they've got a lot of inventory. Some dealers aren't aggressively going after trades right now, but some salespeople are scared of trades because depending on when you bought the boat, now I think you are, um, they held margin. Boats were a lot more expensive in 2020. I forget sustainability what year yours is. I want to say 2020. I don't think it's a 19. And they're scared that they're going to have to give you a trade value that they are going to be yelled at for, that they're going to be embarrassed to have to give you because the dealers, like you said, they're sitting on a lot of inventory and they don't want another $100,000 pontoon necessarily. Now, if it was a $50,000 boat, they would be, if it was 7 years old, they would be much more excited about it. But yours is newer, yours is bigger horsepower, yours is a Q, and they're like, shit, I got to tell this guy that his boat is worth 30% less than what he thinks it is, 40% less than what he thinks it is. I'm just going to see if he calls me. And so there's some of that happening. Hopefully they get back to you because it would be interesting to see what they give you if they, or what the conversation looks like. But and maybe they just were at the boat show. I think the Northern Illinois Boat Show. I think I saw Munson listed on there, right? That would make sense if you were going to go to it. So maybe Munson, yeah. So maybe they were just tied up at the boat show. Depending on when you submitted it, they're working boat show deals, and they assume if this guy's serious, he'll be at the boat show. All hands are on deck at the boat show. So maybe it's just a timing thing too. Could be either one though. I'm not sure. That's interesting though. Very much personal preference. The way you store your lures, soft plastic. Also, where you store the net is different across brands. The way the trolling motor mounts is another big one. Interesting. That's really interesting. I kind of understand it. but I wouldn't be able to get on a boat and I wouldn't be able to have oh, this is how I would do it. This is where I would store this is where I'd want my net like that. That's really specific. And if you're especially if you're a tournament level fisherman, like Dan, if you're gonna try to get on the circuit, you probably have some tendencies that you prefer. So that's really interesting. Probably don't want trade. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Matt. Yes, Barletta has no. Yeah, that was one that was interesting. And it's why again, it's why I sell products. Maybe I do it too much. Maybe I'm a little bit more aggressive on my marketing of selling products and memberships and donations and stuff like that. And I ask for it. I don't push, I don't think. But to be able to continue to do this, I have to make money at it. One way to make money is by taking dollars from manufacturers. But now I can't say, Barletta, your seats are crap. Like your stitching, it just doesn't line up. What are you doing? Like they wouldn't allow me to say, or they would pull that money from me. So that's interesting. Oh, that really makes me the new Bass Cats have a weird offset on the bow, puts the trolling motor off the starboard side, which tends to make the trolling motor not track true. Interesting. I guess that would make sense. You've got your P force going one direction. You would typically have it going. Yeah, very interesting. Keep the laser in a vacuum sealed bag. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure if I missed a comment there. Oh well. Probably more like 90. I'm a supplier. I've been watching for a while. Just don't speak up much. Well, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm a supplier. Okay. Interesting. Well, reach out, Tony, if you've got any interesting products or interesting video insights. Be happy to talk about it as well. Yeah, when they don't honor their warranty. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. I was like, what the hell is he talking about? Hopefully buying a boat in the next few years. Um, Round boating constantly. Yeah, it is when you own one, things change a little bit. The way you look at things, you'll notice stuff in the industry that you're like, I wish they did that different or better. But yeah, seeing behind the scenes in the industry was like I'd been my family got our first boat when I was 5 and had always been around boating. I started selling boats when I was in my 30s, early 30s. It was really eye-opening to see what really happens in the industry and get some of that inside baseball info. That some of it I was like, that's awesome. Some of it's like, we need to fix that. This is terrible. QC QC being one of them that IT Consulting had an issue with Barletta. Like that just blew me away the first time when I had a customer that had an issue with the boat after delivery that I was like, how did we let this go out the door? And I was naive enough that I didn't realize like I should be part of that process too as a salesperson. And from then on, I made it a point to run every boat that I sold and kind of flip through it before I delivered it to the customer. Um, but that shocked me. That really shocked me when I got into the industry back in '09. Oh, you're very welcome. You are very welcome. Hopefully we'll see you here more often. Still have the 92 Rinker. Oh, that's right. That's right. Um, I forgot that you had that. Looking at center consoles, finally made up my mind to trade 23. Nice. Very nice. It's sometimes I forget the details. I know like oh, my hat's all crooked today. I know all of the like I can remember for the most part the generalities like um sustainability. I know Bennington Q with the big horsepower, but I always got his horsepower wrong. I knew you'd been looking for a long time and going back and forth on different boats, but I forgot that you had one. So there is a lot of details that I forget. There's a lot of stuff floating around up here, and it gets all mixed up. So, all right, this is a good place to stop. We just crossed 2 hours. It is 10:30. Um, thank you guys for another great live. You don't really think about net placement until you have a tournament with fish on the line. I hope that um, yes, that's one that you're like, oh yeah, that is a pain in the ass, and that cost me money. Cost me money and bragging rights. That's too funny. Ask me how I know. Awesome. That's a great place to stop. Thank you guys. Check out if you haven't. Get the toolkit if you're buying a boat. Boat Buyer's Toolkit. If you are a newer boat owner, Boater Boot Camp, you can pick that up. Boater Boot Camp. My programs, Best Boat Captain. Teach you how to run the boat, dock it with ease. There's different versions available. If you struggle trailer and if you boat on the coast, got you covered. If you're buying a boat, we got you covered. Money back guarantee. If you ask for a refund, you get a refund. That's just the way it works here. Bunch of 5-star reviews. We're at 77. I need to get it to 100 here soon. And so I need to send out another request. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Kings of the City, thanks. Having the hardest time trying to find a short sport center tune 23, 12 feet. Be putting on you are going to be hard pressed to find a 23-foot center tube, because if they're putting a third tune on, they are probably, well, they just are 25-inch tubes. So, and putting a third tune on an 18-foot, all right. So let me show you this. Third pontoon kit. You may be able to. I don't know anything about this. I don't know good, bad, indifferent, but you could do something like a poly tube. So fits most boats 22 feet. I don't know what options they have, what sizes they have, but something like that could be an option. They might have different sizes. The one that I was Polytube. Oh, I'm tired. Pontoon water glide. This is not what I'm looking for. So that could be another option for you, this water glide thing. Again, I don't know anything about it. I'm not endorsing it. I'm not telling you to go get it. I'm just saying this could be something worth looking at and doing your own research on. But I would ask the question, why are you putting a third tune on an 18-foot boat? And if it's just for extra buoyancy, that's one thing. Melissa. Okay, hang on. Melissa, are you the one that was looking for the houseboat down in Georgia that we talked about, that you found one? Is that you? If it is, let me know. If not, that's fine. Then I just got you mixed up with somebody else. But Rob, adios. This was supposed to end. This happens sometimes. But if it's, yes, buoyancy, no houseboat. Okay. All right. So okay. If it's buoyancy, that's understandable. All right, as long as you're not adding horsepower, because I wouldn't want you to put extra horsepower on an 18. I just think that would be a recipe for taking a big wave over the bow at too much speed. Um, but then this water glide's not going to do it for you. I don't know, but I would imagine you could go to if you really want to do this, if this is a big goal and it's really going to improve the enjoyment of your boat, go to an aluminum manufacturer, aluminum fabricator, and they can weld you one up, right? They can look at your tubes and they can do it for you. I doubt if Bennington would do it, but maybe a smaller manufacturer would, but definitely an aluminum fabricator. So aluminum fabricator near me. I'm just going to say near me because I don't know where you're at. Aluminum framing fabricators, custom metal, aluminum fabricating services. If you are in the Indiana area, in the Midwest, so you might be able to get somebody to just get the raw aluminum, put it in a circle, weld it up, put a nose cone on the front, weld it up, and be okay. I would assume that that wouldn't be that difficult. The cost, I don't have any idea what that would cost, but anyway, that's my thoughts. That's all I got for you. So, all right. Thank you guys very much. Tyler, thank you. But appreciate it, guys. We'll catch you next week.